Hi everyone, this is Miss Xiao. It's really great to see all of you again. So for those of you who remember me, you might have seen me in the Comedy webinar with Miss Nora, as well as read my 2 blog posts on prepositions. And today I'm really excited to be back again to share with you a very important writing technique, which is using good dialogue in our writing. We actually have a blog post on this dialogue already, but if you are a visual learner, then I hope you'll find this more useful. So some of you may be wondering, why do we use dialogue in our writing? Dialogue is actually a very essential part of every story. Not only does it help to move your plot along, it also helps to break up the narrative and make it more interesting for your readers. Sometimes you can even give insight to your characters when you use dialogue too. However, your dialogue should always be purposeful. So when do we actually use dialogue? So number 1, use dialogue if you feel like you're revealing important information or shedding light into the situation. For example, perhaps the culprit of a crime is being revealed. Then you will use dialogue to advance the plot. Secondly, you might use dialogue if you feel like you want to introduce new characters to your story. Sometimes your character may appear in the middle of your story. For example, a teacher who stumbled upon a group of students who are up to no good. So perhaps then the teacher would be introduced through the use of dialogue. Thirdly, you want to use dialogue to increase the suspense of your writing. So dialogue can help to build up what is going to come later as well. At the end of the day, if a dialogue does not serve a purpose or does not relate to the story or characters in some way, then perhaps it is not needed in your story at all. And do not just include dialogue for the sake of having your characters talk. You want to make sure that each time you use the dialogue, it's got to be really purposeful. Since you're going to be using dialogue quite sparingly, then ensure that each time you use it, it is going to be compelling for the reader. So how do we go about doing that? Avoid using basic words like said, told, and asked. As you are writing your dialogue, you want to try to convey the character's intention as well as set the tone. Basic words like said, told, and asked will not convey the precise meaning that you're going after. So, for example, if I give you a dialogue, I can't believe it, Gina said. Do you know how Gina felt when she said, I can't believe it? Could she be feeling upset or happy? So if you are unable to tell because using the word said, then can you think of a more vivid verb to replace the word said? So using my earlier example, let me replace the word said with a more vivid verb this time. I'll give you 3 examples and you can perhaps try to guess what I'm trying to tell you. So example 1, I can't believe it, Gina. So do you think she whispered, squealed, or whined? If your answer is whine, then you're absolutely right. So from my voice, it's very clear that I was trying to complain about something, or rather Gina was trying to complain about something. But you realize that when you write this in your composition, it's merely just words and the reader can't actually hear the tone that your character is taking on. That's why it's really important that you use a vivid verb to convey that. So now let me move on to example 2. I can't believe it. Gina, do you think she whispered or squealed? Again, my voice will convey it as a whisper. So if you guess whispered, then you're right again. And for the third example, I can't believe it. Gina, very obviously, squealed. So there you have it, 3 different verbs to go with the same dialogue. So really, you're not just limited to the words said, told, and asked. There's so many verbs out there which you can use with your dialogue as long as you are placing it in the correct context as well. So what I can suggest to you is to amass a list of vocabulary that can replace said, told, and asked, so that if and when you decide to use dialogue in your writing, you can draw on this vocabulary, which will no doubt add to your language marks in the exam. After you have found a better word to replace the word said, my second tip to you is to add on action or expression to add on to the feeling of the character when he or she speaks. So your action or expression should definitely further illustrate this. And additionally, the action expression could sometimes even help you to characterize the character. So if I were to use the earlier examples, I can't believe it, Gina whined, as she clenched her fist and shook it in the air and stomped her feet. So that additional portion I've added in is an action. So this action can help to show Gina's anger more clearly, as well as characterize her as possibly a petulant child throwing a tantrum. Alternatively, you can add an expression. I can't believe it, Gina whispered with her eyes widened. So this over here would then convey Gina's disbelief and surprise towards the situation and is an expression. So other expression could not be limited to just your facial expression. It could be also things like your heart palpitating in your chest, as well as your palms turning clammy. These are all expression to further illustrate emotion. Okay, so there you have it. That's it for today. I hope that you have found this video useful and can try to incorporate more vivid verbs as well as description when you are writing your dialogue. If you're starting out with simple dialogue, do not feel overwhelmed by what we've covered today. So you can start off step by step. You can trying to vary your dialogue text first using the vivid verbs, and then when you feel more confident doing that, you can slowly incorporate more description in, be it action or expression. So it takes time, but more practice will definitely help as well. Just a word of caution though, do not overuse dialogue in your story. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, dialogue should always be purposeful. If you use dialogue too frequently in your story, you are robbing it of good description of the characters, the setting, as well as the action. So try to avoid that. And that's all I have for all of you today, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye!